Hello everyone and welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, The Reviewer. And with me, after too long of an absence, is my cameraman, Jamie.
Thank you, Reviewer. I'm glad to be back. Although I can't help but notice you threw away everything I owned and turned my bedroom into a sewing nook.
Well, those scarves my fourth incarnation wears aren't going to sew themselves. Although... No, they're not. We'll get you sorted, Jamie, but in the meantime, let's get back to reviewing Doctor Who. This is The Pyramid at the End of the World.
Bill is bringing her date Penny up to date. The Veritas told the Doctor that there are alien monks running a computer simulation to help them take over the world. Although Bill still doesn't know he's blind from oxygen deprivation. As Bill tells Penny about the Pope bursting in on their date in the computer, UN soldiers burst in on this date. The Secretary General of the UN is looking for the President. No, not the orange one. The President of Earth. The Doctor. Penny takes off. In the middle of a disputed zone between the USA, Russia, and China, a 5,000-year-old pyramid has appeared out of nowhere. On her way to work, a woman named Erica's bag gets caught in the door and her glasses smashed. And while I do want to mention the casting of Rachel Denning in this part, I don't want to make a big deal out of it because they didn't make a big deal out of it in the story. I'll just say I'd like to see more casting like this, where parts are played by little people or those with physical impairments, when the part did not specifically call for that physicality in the casting. Bill's locked out of the TARDIS. She tells the Doctor that the UN wants him in Turkmenistan. He says no, only to find Bill, Nardole, and the TARDIS already on his presidential plane. At a research laboratory, Erica's co-workers hung over. But, since she smashed her glasses earlier, he'll have to enter the data in when they mix up an experimental fluid and spray it on test plants. However, one of the alien monks is watching. Bill correctly assesses that the pyramid is an alien spaceship sitting between the three most powerful armies on Earth. The Doctor believes that it's here to intimidate Earth, and he goes to inspect it, leaving Nardole on radio to advise him of what he can't see. A door opens and a monk emerges. It says that they're here to take over, but only after the human race asks them to. And this sets off a nice creepy vibe. I've made it clear that I thought the last few episodes beat the horror motif into the ground. Here, we've got a more standard alien invasion story, but that doesn't mean we can't also have tension or fear. It's just a different type of mood from the horror theme. Every clock and phone on Earth sets to 11:57 p.m. This is a reference to the Doomsday Clock, a theoretical clock that explains if events on Earth ever get too bad, the clock will move forward to midnight. Midnight equals global catastrophe.
I'm afraid that apocalypse clock can only mean one thing. A future where all forms of entertainment are destroyed, save the work of Dixie's Midnight Runners. We'll be listening to Come On Eileen for the rest of our Toora-Loo-Ra days. Truly a fate worse than death. Did you buy that?
With their advanced computer modeling of all events on Earth, the monks know that life is about to end. Douglas, the hungover scientist, has blurred vision for a moment and enters a number into the computer incorrectly. The TARDIS materializes around the Russian general. The US and Chinese generals are already there. The aliens have mapped all of human history. This is when Earth is at its weakest. They decide to attack the pyramid as one force. The Doctor doubts it'll work, but perhaps a show of strength and unity from mankind will confound the aliens. The clock moves ahead 1 minute. Bill asks Nardole, what isn't the Doctor telling her? But we never hear what Nardole has to say, and frankly Matt Lucas doesn't have much to do this episode. A continuing problem with the character. He's here to be the Doctor's seeing eye dog, that's about it. Bill asks the Doctor, is there something he wants to say? But suddenly the pyramid shoots a beam of energy into the sky. As a bomber moves in, the crew is teleported out and replaced by monks. The beam locks onto the bomber and sets it down, and the crew of the plane wanders out, followed by a Russian submarine crew that was going to fire a missile at the pyramid. That doesn't work either. The monks want to talk. Bill knows this is a trap, but the Doctor lets her know. A trap is a perfect way to learn about your enemies.
Ah! Jamie, you stepped in that snare I set. Now that you're hanging upside down, what have you learned?
I've learned you're a bleeding loony!
Yes, what I've learned it was a mistake to hang someone upside down when they're wearing a kilt.
The aliens explain that humanity is about to die by their own actions. It takes them into a chamber of glowing threads. This is the computer that lets them not only simulate all of human history, but predict the planet's future. If humanity asks for their help, they will save them, but stay forever as our rulers. Without the monks, The leaders are shown a vision of a dead and lifeless Earth. The clock moves ahead another minute. Midnight is almost here. The monks will only invade if they're asked. They must be loved. Ruling through fear and oppression would work, but it's inefficient. If they're loved, the human race will gladly submit. It's an interesting spin on alien occupation. Just about every time aliens invade, it's with a massive military force and a regime based on suppression. Here, the monks want an easier go of it, so they're waiting for mankind to submit. The Secretary General tries to surrender, but when the monks recognize that he's asking for help out of fear and not love, he's turned to ashes. The Doctor rejects the monks. He will save the Earth. Douglas, feeling queasy, takes off his suit's helmet. Suddenly, all the test plants die and putrefy. They need to know what's going on, and Douglas grabs a sample. The generals all agree to not fight, but it has no effect on the doomsday clock. At the lab, they realize they've created a super strong bacteria. Now the writers, Peter Harness and Stephen Moffat, really want to beat home this idea that it's a series of bad coincidences leading to this moment, but it feels like a mistake not to have the monks more directly involved. I suppose they want to play the monks off as opportunists. That said, what if no big disaster ever occurred for them to exploit? Would they have given up on taking over the Earth? Would they then declare war? Just how much is Earth worth to them? It never really feels like they want it that badly. This almost comes off as an invasion of convenience. The Doctor continues to analyze. The aliens landed in a military crisis to misdirect humanity and make everyone think they'd all be wiped out in a war. So the end of Earth is likely a mistake, an error. It's happening now, so he makes every secret document available for them to search through. Douglas keels over. He dies and his body putrefies. They're searching biochemical trials on gene modification, but the generals feel they don't have a choice. Bill also doesn't think they have a choice, and the generals leave to consult the monks. The Doctor is about to confess his blindness to Bill when he realizes they can blind the monks, and takes Nardole to the TARDIS, leaving Bill with the generals. As the labs begin to evacuate, Erica discovers that Douglas supercharged one of the enzymes. Nardole uses the TARDIS to hack into the security cameras around the world, the same one the monks are using to spy on humanity. The Doctor has them turned off. When the monks only turn one back on, they use the TARDIS to trace it to Erica's lab. The writing here is very clever, and that's just as well. This story is being driven mostly by plot rather than any real character moments, but that's also consistent with the change of themes. This isn't about being scared, it's about holding your breath between moments and hoping everything works out. They enter the lab, but the Doctor sends Nardole back into the TARDIS to monitor things. He does have human lungs, after all. Erica explains that the lab will vent the super-lethal bacteria into the atmosphere in about 20 minutes, and they can't stop it. There are now 20 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, with only 20 seconds left on the clock, we're really going to have to see what the Doctor brings to this game. He goes left, he dodges an interception attempt by the monks, he scores! Touch goal! That's what human sport sounds like, right?
Would you please cut me down? The blood is rushing to my head.
Oh, very well.
Ooh. The Doctor decides to blow up the lab in order to sterilize the bacteria. When the monks realize the generals are surrendering as a form of strategy, they burn them. They ask Bill, as a representative of the Doctor, if she'll consent to them. If she asks for their help, knowing that it will mean her enslavement, they can form a link, but the monks don't explain what that means. The Doctor sets a bomb, and the doomsday clock rolls back to 3 minutes. Bill runs out. The Doctor needs to enter a certain series of numbers, but he can't see. Erica can't see what's going on from her point of view either. Bill hears all this. Nardole can't see for him as he's passed out in the TARDIS. He finally admits he's still blind. This is Peter Capaldi's best moment in the episode, but it comes off a bit flat. I wish he'd had some more subtlety here, a little more quiet regret rather than tone-deaf admittance of defeat. This is not a great acting episode, as I've said, and while competent, Peter never really nails the important moments here. Bill heads back into the pyramid. The monks can help him. He begs her not to do this. The Doctor doesn't know what they will do if she consents, and Pearl Mackie at least gets this important moment right. You can feel her fear and concern bleeding through as she makes what she knows is a deal with the devil to save her friend in the hopes that he can save her. Still, like Peter, leading up to this moment, Bill's been on autopilot and just giving standard Doctor Who companion reactions. She asks, "Can the monks restore his sight?" Yes, they can. Bill consents, and they recognize that she's doing it out of love. The deal is made. The Doctor's eyesight returns. He can see. As he escapes in time and the bacteria is destroyed, the Doctor wonders what Bill has done because the monks now control the Earth.
Ultimately, this episode benefits from a change in mood that's been dogging Doctor Who for the last few episodes, but on its own it doesn't stand up very well. That said, it had one hell of a cliffhanger and has me really looking forward to the story's resolution. I give Doctor Who The Pyramid at the End of the World 3 Thomases out of 5.
I've missed your name and amounts of things. Time Lord of the Week!
Time Lord of the Week!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly honored and a little humbled to present the Time Lord of the Week today. He's a legend known throughout Gallifrey. His name is Christopher. I know. The idea of a Time Lord named Christopher is fantastic.
But in the annals of Gallifrey, his legend was written in the Time War. He is the General!
Not because he's a great military leader, quite the opposite.
He was one of the most mediocre soldiers in the
Time War, but nobody had the heart to tell him. Because he was so generally liked. Still, his gentle good nature and utter lack of killer instinct
inspired countless soldiers to try and be a little better than him. The term general improvement became a byword to aspire to.
No one knows where the General is today, but if I know him, and frankly, I don't.
But if I know him, he's out there generally loafing around.
Oh, well, Jamie, now that you're home, we can get on with the second half of this season of reviews.
No more silly storylines to distract us, eh?
Aye, but you know what's funny?
What's that, Jamie?
Well, we started this season with me complaining about reactors, like the Sarah Jane Adventures boy.
What a terrible parody.
We're very lucky that Torchwood Boy had a sense of humor. Right? But my complaint about reactors, that felt like it was going to lead somewhere, but instead I quit and that became a whole thing.
Jamie, not everything leads somewhere in life. Sometimes you mention something once and then never reference it again. Like any time Stephen Moffat made a change to the Daleks. Like, for God's sakes, the new paradigm Daleks, what happened there? All of a sudden, these new Daleks show up. They're like the Power Rangers of Daleks, and then we never see them again. Oh, sure, some of the white Daleks.
He's off on the new paradigm again. This will take hours. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jamie. He's the reviewer. This is You Know Who.
What was Dalek Eternal? Why was there a drone race, a warrior race, a scientist race, but we'd never see them again? And what is with the plunger? Why can't they have proper hands?
I've finally broken through. Only for a moment, to be sure, but each time I will become stronger. Remember the immutable laws of physics, reviewer. To every action, an equal reaction.
Hello, everyone. I'm the reviewer. Would you like to appear on this season of You Know Who as a Time Lord? You would. Fantastic. Simply go to the Last Angry Geek's Patreon page, pledge the $10 level called Geek Lord, and send the geek a picture of yourself that you would like to appear on You Know Who. I'll come up with a Time Lord name and origin for you. But there are only so many slots available as there are only so many episodes of You Know Who for this season. So act now. Thank you, and good night.